Welcome to Cheater Confessions. Let's get started with today's story. I always said Friday nights should be simple. Cards on the table, drinks within reach, and people who don't make the night feel like work. That evening started exactly like that. Just me, my wife Sheila, my coworker Jerry, and her longtime friend Claire sitting around our small dining table. Jerry was halfway through a story about a disastrous client meeting when Sheila cut him off with a loud laugh. She'd had more wine than the rest of us, and when she drank, her volume rose as fast as her filter disappeared. "Come on, Jerry," she said, waving her glass. "You're acting like you've never been embarrassed in your life." Jerry grinned. "Not as embarrassed as Marvin gets when we talk about confidence." I raised a brow. "What's that supposed to mean?" He shrugged casually. "You know, men, confidence, all that sizing up nonsense. It's always the quiet guys who surprise everyone." The women laughed. It was harmless, stupid humor. I didn't mind. I'd taken worse jokes. But Sheila leaned forward with a smirk I hadn't seen in a long time. Sharp, careless, and a little mean. "Oh, please," she said, tapping the table. "If we're talking size—" She turned her eyes directly at me. My ex, Paul, definitely had Marvin beat. The room stopped breathing. Claire froze with her drink halfway to her mouth. Jerry looked at the floor. Even Sheila seemed to realize what she'd said, but she tried to laugh it off. "I'm joking," she added quickly, but there was panic behind her smile. "Marvin, relax. It's just a joke." I wasn't angry, not even surprised. I'd lived with little comments and comparisons for years, most subtle enough to ignore. But this one wasn't subtle. This one was public. I set my glass down gently. "Sheila," I said, calm enough to make her swallow hard, "you really shouldn't brag about Paul." She blinked. "Why not?" "Because if you knew what I know," I said, leaning back in my chair, "you'd stop pretending he was some kind of legend." Claire's eyes widened. Jerry shifted uncomfortably. Sheila's smile vanished. "What are you talking about?" she asked. And just like that, the night changed. "Sheila," I said, "you sure you want to keep pretending Paul was some kind of champion?" Her face twisted with confusion and something close to fear. "Marvin, what are you even talking about? You never met him." Jerry started gathering the empty glasses. "Maybe we should head out." "Sit," I said quietly. He froze. Claire set her wine down like it might explode. Sheila looked between the three of us. "Marvin, don't do this. You're making it weird." "I'm not the one who made it weird," I replied. "That was you when you decided to joke about another man's size in front of our friends." She flinched. "Okay, I'm sorry," she said quickly. "I told you it was a joke. A stupid one. Can we just forget it?" "No," I said. "Not tonight. Not when you're still defending him." Jerry cleared his throat. "Man, seriously, we can come back another time." "You're already here," I said. "Might as well hear the rest." Claire shifted in her seat. "Marvin, what rest?" I kept my eyes on Sheila. "You asked how I know things about Paul. You're right. For a long time, I didn't know him. Just the stories you told, the way you talked about him like he was some perfect memory. Your big love, the one that should have been." Sheila opened her mouth, but nothing came out. "But then," I continued, "a year after we got married, I met him." Her breath caught. "No, you didn't." "I did." "That, where? When?" Her voice shook. I leaned back, letting the tension settle. "At a medical conference downtown. My firm handled some contract issues for the hospital. He was there. So was I." Jerry blinked. "Wait, seriously?" "Yes." I turned my attention back to Sheila. "You remember that week I told you I was working late? That's when it happened." Her eyes darted, searching her memory. "You never said anything." "No," I replied. "I didn't." "Why not?" "Because until tonight, you gave me no reason to." Sheila swallowed hard. "Marvin, what happened when you met him?" I folded my hands. "That's the part you'll want to hear sitting down." I remember that week clearly because nothing about it felt important at the time. Just another hospital contract review. The conference was held in a big hotel ballroom. I had just finished a long meeting when I walked into the lobby bar to unwind. I wasn't looking for anyone. I just wanted a drink and a quiet corner. That's when I saw Paul. He looked exactly like the man Sheila used to describe. Confident posture, expensive clothes, that effortless swagger. For a second, I almost understood why she talked about him the way she did. But the moment I got closer, the illusion broke. Paul wasn't alone. He was arguing with a younger nurse. Their voices were low but tense. "You promised," the nurse said, shaking his head. "You said you'd back me up on this." Paul rubbed his face. "I can't. Not now. Just drop it." The nurse scoffed. "You're a coward, Paul." Then the nurse walked off toward the elevators without looking back. Paul stayed frozen, staring at the floor like his whole world had slipped. That was the moment I stepped closer. "Rough night?" I asked. His head snapped up, and when he saw me, his expression changed from irritation to panic. "You're Marvin," he said slowly. "Sheila's husband." It wasn't a question. "Yes," I said. He looked around like he expected someone else to appear. "Sheila told me you two were married, but I never thought. Why are you here?" "I'm working," I said. "Hospital contract review." "And you?" He let out a breath. "Trying to keep my career from falling apart." I didn't react. I waited. He studied me for a moment, then dropped into the bar seat beside mine. "You know," he said quietly, "Sheila always thought I had everything together. Truth is, I was a mess, even back then." I didn't blink. "So tell me." Paul hesitated, then laughed bitterly. "You really want to know why I left her the way I did?" I nodded once. He leaned forward, elbows on the bar. "Because she deserved someone honest, and I wasn't." And just like that, the man she endlessly praised began to unravel. Back in our apartment, Sheila stared at me like she was afraid of what I'd say next. "What do you mean he wasn't honest?" she asked quietly. I didn't answer right away. I went back to that bar. Paul had ordered a drink he barely touched. His hands shook every time he lifted the glass. "I wasn't who she thought I was," he said. "I left because the truth was closing in, and I didn't want her to see it." "What truth?" I asked. He stared at the bottle in front of him. "I wasn't the surgeon everyone believed I was. I cut corners. I ignored complaints. I pushed people around because I could, and eventually it caught up." I didn't speak. He kept going. "That nurse you saw? He reported me. Not the first one. Not even the second." He laughed without any humor. "I had a list, Marvin. A whole list of people I mistreated. I didn't sleep. I lied. I disappeared whenever things got close to blowing up." He pressed a hand to his forehead. "And Sheila? She was just this good thing I knew I'd ruin. So I left before she found out what I really was." I hadn't said a word. I didn't have to. Paul took a long breath. "I'm begging you. Don't tell her. Let her believe the version she remembers. She doesn't deserve the truth that follows me around." I told him I wouldn't say anything. And I didn't. Not for years. Now, sitting in our living room, I finished the sentence I'd started earlier. "He wasn't honest with you, Sheila. Not about anything that mattered." She swallowed hard. "You think he left because he was a bad person?" "No," I said calmly. "He left because he knew he would never treat you right, and he didn't want you seeing who he really was." Sheila covered her mouth as the memories hit her. Jerry stood up slowly. "I think we should go." "No," Sheila whispered. "Stay. I need to hear all of it." But I shook my head. "No, they've heard enough." Jerry and Claire grabbed their things and left. Sheila wiped her face with the back of her hand. "Marvin, I don't understand. You met him. You knew he wasn't who I thought he was. Why didn't you tell me sooner?" I leaned against the table. "Would you have believed me?" "Yes," she said too quickly. Then she hesitated. "Maybe." "That's why," I replied. "Back then, you still talked about him like he walked on water. Every time something got hard in our marriage, you'd bring him up. Not directly. But I could hear it." Sheila sank onto a chair. "That's not fair." "Isn't it?" I asked. "Every time you mentioned how confident he was, how ambitious he was, how exciting he made your life, what did you think that did to me?" She didn't answer. I walked closer and sat across from her. "Tell me the truth. Did you marry me because you loved me, or because I was the safe choice after he left you hanging?" Sheila's eyes widened. "Marvin, don't ask me that." "I am asking." She pressed her palms together, breathing unevenly. "I loved you. I did. I do? But—" her voice cracked. "Part of me always wondered what life with Paul would have been like if he hadn't left." I nodded slowly. "So I was the backup plan." "No," she said quickly. Not a backup. Just what? I never got closure, she said, voice shaking. He left. No explanation. No goodbye. He broke me, and I carried that with me. And dragged it into our marriage, I said. Sheila covered her face. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. You did, I said. For years. She looked up, desperate. We can fix this. Tell me how. I pointed at her phone on the table. You want to fix anything? Ask him. Ask Paul if what I told you is true. Her breath caught. Marvin, I can't. You can, I said. Or you'll always wonder. Same as you've done since the day he left. She stared at her phone for a long time, fingers trembling. Then she picked it up, opened a message, and typed, Paul, I need the truth. Marvin told me he met you. I need to know what really happened back then. She stared at the screen. Then she hit send. And the waiting began. The message sat on her screen like a loaded gun. Sheila held the phone with both hands, elbows on her knees, staring without blinking. I didn't move. I didn't speak. I just watched the truth work its way toward her. Minutes crawled by. Every vibration made her jump. Maybe he won't answer, she whispered. He will, I said. How do you know? Because men like Paul never turn down a chance to rewrite the story. She looked at me like she wanted to argue, but she couldn't. Not now. At minute 22, her phone buzzed. Sheila gasped, nearly dropping it. It's him! Her hand shook as she opened the message. Her eyes scanned the screen, widening with every line. She didn't speak until she reached the end. Then she read it aloud, voice cracking. Sheila, I'm sorry this is coming so late. Everything Marvin told you is true. I didn't leave you because of anything you did. I left because I was living a lie and hurting people every day. My career wasn't what it looked like. I made mistakes, serious ones. I used you to feel like a normal man, and that wasn't fair to you. Marvin met me on one of the worst nights of my life. He showed me more decency than I deserved. He kept my mess from touching you, even though he had every reason to expose me. Please don't blame him. Blame me. You deserved honesty. Paul. Sheila lowered the phone slowly, like it weighed too much. Tears slipped down her cheeks. Everything you said. He admitted everything. I nodded. I was wrong, she said. About him. About you. About everything. I didn't comfort her. I didn't reach for her. I let the truth settle. She stood and came closer, almost collapsing in front of me. Marvin, please, she whispered. I don't want to lose you. I looked at her steadily. You already did what you had to do, Sheila. You asked Paul for the truth. She waited for the rest. But I didn't say anything else, because the truth wasn't done working yet. Sheila barely slept that night. She sat on the edge of the bed, phone in her lap, staring at the floor like the truth had knocked the wind out of her. I lay awake beside her, but we didn't speak. There was nothing left that needed saying. The next morning, she followed me into the kitchen. Marvin, she said softly, I don't want to lose this. I poured myself coffee. I know. I'll change. I'll go to therapy. I'll stop bringing up the past. I'll do anything. I looked at her, calm as ever. Sheila, this isn't about fixing the last 24 hours. This is about fixing the last 6 years. Her shoulders slumped. For the next 2 weeks, she tried. Therapy sessions. Long emotional messages she sent me during my work hours. She stopped drinking. She stopped joking about anything involving exes. She became too careful. But every time I looked at her, I didn't see my wife. I saw the woman who had mocked me in front of people I trusted, the woman who compared me to a man she didn't truly know. One night, she finally said the thing neither of us wanted to say. Marvin, are we done? I didn't answer right away. I looked at her directly. Yes, I said. She closed her eyes and nodded. No drama, no shouting, just acceptance. The divorce wasn't messy. We didn't fight over the apartment. Sheila insisted I keep it. She said she couldn't stand the memories in the walls. She moved into a small rental 10 minutes away, signed the papers without hesitation. The day we met to finalize everything at the courthouse, she arrived early. When it was done, she approached me. I'm sorry, she whispered. Not just for the joke, for everything. I nodded once. I know. We walked out of the building separately. 3 months after the divorce, I hosted a small get-together. Nothing fancy. I hadn't thrown anything social since the night everything fell apart. I wanted to see if it felt different now. It did. Jerry showed up first. He looked around the place and nodded. "Looks good, man. Peaceful." "It is," I said. We sat around the kitchen island, talking about work, movies, stupid office jokes. No tension, no comparisons, no shadow hanging over the room. At one point, someone brought up past relationships. Just a harmless conversation. Jerry smirked. "Come on, Marvin. You must have one disaster story." Everyone looked at me. I could have told them about Sheila, about Paul, about the joke, the truth, the divorce. I could have made it dramatic or funny or tragic. Instead, I just smiled. "Nothing worth repeating," I said. They laughed and moved on. Later, when everyone left, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Sheila. "I hope you're doing okay. I'm still working on myself. Thank you for the years we had. I'm sorry for how it ended." I read it twice, then set the phone down. I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel triumph. Just a quiet sort of understanding. After a minute, I typed back, "I hope you heal, Sheila. Truly." That was all. For the first time in a long while, I didn't feel like I was standing in anyone's shadow. Sheila once joked that her ex was bigger. That night, she thought she'd taken something from me with that line. But the truth was bigger than any insult. And when the truth finally came out, it wiped the smile off her face and freed me from the weight I'd been carrying for years. My life didn't end when she said that joke. It started when I stopped letting it define me. Thank you for watching.